All right, well, what's going on, everybody? Hope this video finds you well. Got a really cool topic today, and we're going to be talking about how one of the ways that we could actually shorten up our length of motion, but we can still actually increase the speed in which we can produce as a player. And we're going to look at and we're going to dive into a couple of different ways that we can work on this, look into it, and how this can be achievable for you as the player if having a longer swing is actually causing you havoc. So I think the first thing to start off when we say this is not me saying that the only way that we can, or this is not me saying that we have to have a shorter swing to actually swing it faster. There are plenty of players who have longer golf swings that have the ability to produce speed. So obviously that would be the further that the golf club itself travels, the more time that it has to accelerate. I think everybody would agree with that right there. But I also think that there are plenty of players that we see on tour that are incredibly accurate, that are also incredibly long. Okay? And so if we dive into some of the things, some of the ways that they're able to achieve that, how you might be able to do this at home, and how we can improve a player's consistency, but also be able to move the lever or be able to move the golf club a little bit faster right here. So when we start off with this, I think one of the first places to comprehend is where do we actually want to see the length of motion finish right here. So we could take a few players as an example. We could take like a John Rahm, one of the shorter golf swings, yet one of the faster speeds that we've seen when he was on tour, now on live on the planet. So if I use and I look at me as a teacher, one of the checkpoints that I'll actually look for is where the lead arm is in relation to where the lead shin is. I actually like to see these match up right here. So like if I took an alignment stick, so you could see this from face on, I put this in the ground right at about this angle here. What you would notice right in here is that the direction that my shin works is also the line in which my lead arm would sit on. So this right here for me, this gives the player the ability to produce a wider radius. So a wider radius, also the ability to remain more constant. So I think what we'll see is we'll see a lot of players, they get to here and then sometimes they either over adduct the lead arm and the trail arm internally rotates as the shoulder retracts. And basically we see the arms get stuck, and now we can see this is quite a bit shorter than if that was pushed away right there. So there's one of my checkpoints that I'll use if I'm looking for a player who thinks that they're struggling with a length of motion right there. Now, if we look at a lot of the reasons why players with longer swings, or even if they're trying to shorten their swing, why they're not able to produce the speed that they want, is I don't know that they're producing speeds in the right places. So there's two places that I look for the player to be able to create speed. And this is from my perspective. And this isn't saying that anybody else's perspective is wrong. This is what I've noticed as a teacher and what I've been able to be successful with in helping educate other players in the game right here. So when I look at where players struggle, number one is what they do is I generally see the backswing speed is too slow. And this is where I'm trying to be perfect, I'm trying to be perfect, I'm trying to be perfect. And now from here, there's no energy in the golf club. We don't have any inertia, any momentum into the actual shaft itself. So then we choose in the downswing to try and create all of that. So we go from nothing, 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 nothing to everything. Now we do have players as well like Sung J.M., Matsuyama, who do make this work, but we'll notice it's a very, very few, there's not a large number of them that do that. It's not saying it isn't possible, but it's probably not in our advantage, or we're not favoring law of averages when doing this. So when I look at speeds, I relate a lot of the things that I would do to how a pendulum operates. Okay, so if I took this, we have to have mass to start acceleration. So our acceleration point starts right here early on. And what we'll notice a change in direction speed, where then the club can re-accelerate on the way down. So if we look at our places of where we would be producing speed, we're producing speed right here in the very beginning in the takeaway from about P1, P2 into P3. And then this golf club, what you'll notice, and I'd challenge you if this is an area that you think that this might help you with, what I would say is start to take the golf club, and when you swing this, maybe hover this above the ball, swing this and move it at a higher rate of speed than what you normally would. And by the time you reach left arm parallel, let the momentum of the golf club carry you to the top right here. What I find here is I do like to see the player in a stock model of mine. I like to see the trail shoulder stay externally rotated. And I like to see it come back down externally rotated. What we'll notice is if we go at a slow speed, external rotation is very hard to keep in. And then a lot of times when we try and put energy into the golf club, that's where we start to see the shoulder kick back into internal rotation, external rotation, internal rotation. I think a lot of that is due in part to where the energy is in the golf club. But what you'll notice is as you swing this back at a higher rate of speed, it's actually easier to keep the arm in there. So create enough speed to P3 so that the momentum of the golf club can carry us here and we can keep the structure and we can keep our width in to maintain maybe a shorter length as opposed to a longer length if that's something that we struggle with. So there would be the area that we would produce speed number one is right down here at the bottom of the arc so that we're using the momentum in the shoulders, the arms, and the golf club to help carry us to the top. There's obviously stuff that happens with the ground. There's stuff that happens with the body. We're not going to dive into it in this video. We're going to talk about the structural components of it and how this might be able to benefit you. I hope you're enjoying today's video, and if you like the way that I explain things and how I break things down, I would love to have you check out my online membership site, Club TS. So inside of this, you're going to have access to unlimited video lessons, group coaching calls that we do weekly, and as well, you're going to have the ability to ask me questions where I can film content for you customized. We also offer practice plans for players of all abilities. So inside of the link here, that's going to give you access to a free 14-day trial that I would love to have you check out. So thank you for watching. Now back to the video. Okay, the next place is once we have this transition speed and the club starts to work back down, this would now be again where we would use one of our power accumulators, which is the bending and the straightening of the right arm. As the right arm starts to straighten, we can see this can produce quite a bit of speed for us. So that would be area number two that we would be looking for in creating speed. So like if I made a rehearsal right in here, if I made a rehearsal swing, it would look something like this. I go swing it back. And I feel like I could produce nearly the same amount of speed as if I was trying to go turn, and get back forever, to where sometimes I lose track of where I am in space. It's not as comfortable as a feel for me, and I feel like I'm able to produce speed, but I'm also able to produce accuracy inside of a movement like this. I'm also what I would call, I'm abiding by basic law of motion and how this would operate right here, how a pendulum would operate. So we can go pace back down to keep that on more of a constant radius. So when you're starting with this, we might start off with shorter shots, move it into 3/4, and a lot of your lengths right here, I would practice this at 3/4. If you have access to a launch monitor like TrackMan, measure it, see what the speed produces and see what the carry number produces, and we'll find out if you actually would fit into a model like this. And also make sure it's something that you feel like you can relate to, and it's like, wow, I can actually play golf doing this. So this is just an option, but I think it's a neat way of looking at it if we haven't looked at it in this light before. So if I started off right in here, here's my rehearsal. So this is where I'm carrying the most of my speed. I'm now using the transition speed. So this is where it's changing direction. So you'll see a slight hesitation or a pause. And then I'm working it back down. So it'd be here, there, and there's where most of my energy and my output would be right here. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to give it that slight pause. I'm going to move it faster in my takeaway, pause, and move it faster in my downswing. So it'd be here, work it back faster, and work it through. And so that right there, to me, that was a very solid shot, very straight golf ball that went where I wanted to. And what I like about it the most is I feel like I'm able to keep more of a constant pressure on the grip, and the club is going from momentum, unweighting itself with width. Here's my radius, and then I'm working it back down to the bottom. So let's do this again right here. We'll do one more. And challenge yourself. Go to a pace that might be uncomfortable, because I think what you will see as the player here is when you video it, you'll watch the takeaway speed and be like, wow, it doesn't look a whole lot different than what I would normally do. That was one of the things I noticed as I worked on this so that I could explain it better to the players that I coach, is the speed wasn't noticeably different. The feel is different. So again, this is one of the ways to increase the speed. It doesn't just start from the top, and it doesn't just happen at impact. It's things that we are building in prior to that that help us to produce more speed that might be effortless, that should be more effortless throughout our actual motion. So we're going to go in here again. I'm going to carry more speed through here, transition, and work it back down. We'll give this a go. I'm going to work the takeaway faster, transition unweighted at the top, and then work it back down. And that ball right there was even more solid than the previous one and was just as straight. And that one went probably another 15 yards right there. So give yourself the ability, when you're learning something, go to a place that might be uncomfortable. But when you're going to a place that's uncomfortable, film it and actually look at the differences. See if this position is actually wider. See if this position is actually producing something shorter. Feel like it stops at 3, P3 left arm parallel, and let the momentum just carry you to the top, transition speed, and then work it back down right there. See what it looks like. We might see the arm get less stuck behind us. We might see a wider arc. We might see better ball flights, and hopefully more than anything as well, we see a better ball flight, and we see more speed being produced inside of a motion that we can also produce accuracy with. So I hope this helps. Give that a go. I hope you enjoyed this video here. If you haven't, please click that subscribe button. You can also click the bell right there, and that's going to notify you every time that I release a new YouTube video. Also, if you haven't, check out that last video that I did. It's right here, pinned to the screen. Thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, any comments, please leave those below, and I will make sure I get back to each and every one of you. So, thank you again. Appreciate your support. We'll see you next time.